So in March 1st to be exact, the RCMP came to my door. They broke my door down and arrested me for a warrant. Okay. Now, when they broke my door down, they didn't knock on the door and say RCMP or anything like that. They ran up to the door and smashed the door in. Then about 5 minutes in, they were pounding on my door like trying to smash the door down. They stopped. He stuck his head in the window and said, "RCMP, open up." And I said, "Well, how can I open the door now? You guys have smashed it down." And so then they proceeded to smash it the rest of the way down. And then they took me into custody. They took me to Weyburn, to Tagwa Center in Weyburn. They told me that I'm going to stay there until they come and get me. Now, I was there. I was like, "Well, really? I don't know, like, you're not going to arrest me?" They said, "No, you're going to stay here until we come back." And I said, "Well, I really don't want to stay here." They said, "Okay, you're going to be arrested." I said, "Well, okay, arrest me." They wouldn't arrest me. They said, "You're going to stay here at the health center, the mental health center." And so I acquiesced, went into Tagwa Center, and I said, "I want to speak." Well, all the way through RCMP, I said, "I want to speak to a lawyer." And the RCMP took me there without speaking to a lawyer. They made me stay there without speaking to a lawyer. To Tagwa Center, held me there for 8 days. Every day they said you could leave. I said, "Well, I'll leave. Thank you then. That's great." They said, "You're going to be arrested." I said, "Well, thank you. I'll be arrested then." So they kept doing that. They said, we're going to inject you with needles and strap you down." I said, "Okay, we'll do that then." And I said, "I'd like to speak to a lawyer before you do that." And they wouldn't let me speak to a lawyer, but they kept threatening me for 8 days like that. Finally, at the end of 8 days, because I acquiesced to every demand because I didn't want to be physically hurt or anything, after the end of 8 days, they said, "You can leave." I said, "Thank you." They said, "But you can't leave." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "We're calling the RCMP and they're going to come and arrest you." And I said, "Well, okay, that's fine." That sounds good to me. And then the RCMP came and arrested me. I called the ombudsman. I put in a complaint in. I talked to the ombudsman. The ombudsman says that I was held against my will and that I had been forced to undergo medical treatment at that facility. And that I should, well, first they said, like, "I mean, do you talk to a lawyer?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to talk to a lawyer, I guess." They said I should start the complaint and that I have a valid complaint. They said they reviewed it. They said I have a valid complaint that I was held against my will and forced medical treatment for 8 days. I'd like to sue them for damages, and I'd like to have someone represent me in court. Brian is the person's name, ombudsman, and he said he spoke with his supervisor and they all agreed. They had a review of my circumstances and they agreed that I was forced medical treatment. Medical treatment was forced on me and I was held there for 8 days against my will. And I did. I was cooperative fully because, I mean, I felt threatened. I still feel threatened. Because... No. That was the Ombudsman, Saskatchewan Ombudsman, Privacy Commissioner in Regina. Downtown, the big building, right? Those guys, yeah, they said that. So, like, I think now I knew it was wrong, and I knew, but I wanted to make sure I was right that this was wrong that happened to me, and the Ombudsman agrees. They're like Saskatchewan government agrees that they did wrong to me. I think somebody should help me, please, because I don't think this should go on. It has, it's damaged my reputation. Mental health warrant, that damaged my reputation and held me there for 8 days. Well, that damaged me. That took my door was open in the middle of winter for 8 days. Well, my power bill was $1,200 when I got back to my place. And RCMP only, when they arrested me, they had me in custody for about 35 minutes. So there was like, it was an undue, it was totally wrong. And I kept telling the health department, I kept telling those people, I kept on writing written requests to talk to a lawyer every day. I wasn't a pest. I wasn't bothersome. I wasn't violent. I didn't, threaten them with anything. I didn't even threaten to complain about them, but I knew it was wrong, so that's why I waited. I just kept my tongue, bit my tongue, and just waited and was as pleasant as I possibly could be, because I knew things were not right. And so then it only took the ombudsman a week to come back and tell me that it was all wrong. So you know what I mean, right? So there's obviously somebody with legal experience can really do something with this, I'm sure. I don't want to mess it up. If I go ahead and then they mess me around, and because the ombudsman already said, now if I go, because the first step is to complain now to the health department, to Tagwa Center. Now if they start messing me around, talking me around in circles, and I don't have representation, that could just destroy everything. And they know they did wrong, so they're going to want to intimidate me again. It's constant. Yeah. Do you know anyone that has dealt with these? But it's cut and dry. If the ombudsman even says that, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, there's obviously some real, that there is an issue. It's real. I'm not faking it. I'm not just making shit up. It's real, man. That's the thing that bothers me, is because because I was sitting there and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. It's like Russia. And then when the ombudsman says, yeah, that happened to you, then that really confirms that really I was not treated fairly. And that's the only thing that bothers me, is because now I know, no matter what, I'm not being treated fairly, period. So that's the worst part about it. Yeah. 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 And so, pardon me for interrupting again. And so this is what happened. The RCMP arrested me for a breach of conditions of an undertaking not to talk about them. The RCMP, after I put a complaint in about them, when I put a complaint in about them, they came and they threatened me that I better not talk about anybody to do with the RCMP, that I would be arrested. And it's because I complained about the RCMP, all of this is happening. It was a false mental health warrant, and a false warrant. The original complaint was, I wrote a complaint to the RCMP Complaints Commission. And I said, RCMP officer has been harassing me, and he pulled me over for a false traffic stop. And as a matter of fact, he didn't pull me over. I came to my yard. I was at the store. I walked down the street, and I came up to my yard, and he was sitting in my yard. RCMP was sitting in my yard. He harassed me for 15 years. Then he was sitting in my yard, and this is what the complaint was about. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, you were driving earlier this morning, and somebody noticed and called us. I said, what do you mean somebody noticed that I was driving this morning? And he said, your bike doesn't have a registration on it. And I says, you know it has a registration. I says, what do you mean? I says, you check your radio. You can call that on the radio. And if I have a permit, which is what I had, I said, it'll say that I have a permit for my bike if you check the license plate number. And he says, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I said, you're a corporal of the RCMP. I said, you know for sure that you can phone a permit in and check a permit on a person without even stopping the person. You can drive up behind him and check his registration. He says, no, I can't. I said, yes, you can. So I showed him my registration. Then I put in a complaint that he had done this to me two RCMP came to my place. They kept on badgering me. They said, we want to talk to you about this complaint. I said, look, I said, I don't want to talk to you about this complaint. I said, I want to talk to a complaint investigator. They said, we're the ones that are investigating the complaint. I says, really? What do you want from me? They handed me a paper and said, sign this paper. That's the end of your complaint. Because, you know, this. First he says, that should have never happened. Then he said it was somebody else it was a different officer other than the one that I complained about. And I said, no, it was this officer that I'm complaining about. He says, no, it wasn't. It was somebody else. And they kept that complaint going, that it was some other officer. Then after that, bam, it was full-on gang stalking by the RCMP, harassment every 10 minutes. Like, I mean, I'd walk down the street, RCMP would drive one way, another RCMP would drive the other way. When I tried to keep my complaint going, and they badgered me. Now this has been 2 years. Like, really bad. Yeah, 2 years. And they never gave me disclosure either. I said, what was the charge? And they said, you called us and said that you were going to sue us. I said, what? And he said, you said fuck 23 times. Because I called them a bunch of fucking bastards. I said, I'm going to fucking sue you, you fuckers, and all this, right? And he counted how many times I said fuck. And then they wouldn't let me. I said, I want to hear the recording. They wouldn't let me hear the recording. And they never gave me disclosure ever. And then the COVID thing started happening. And they started telling me, you're gonna plead guilty to this. You're gonna plead guilty. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not. So it's been that long. And then so this latest thing that they did, because I have to go to court tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact. This is what happened. I applied for a court-appointed lawyer, finally. Okay? I put in my application. It was like July 1st or something like this. And so, it was like July, just the beginning of July, right around the beginning of July, I put in the paperwork, the application for a court-appointed lawyer to the prosecutor's office in Regina. My prosecutor was Michelle Corpin. They said to me when I put that in, they said, Michelle Corpin is gone on holidays until July 19th. She won't be back until July 19th. So I'm thinking, well, okay, Michelle Corpin is going to get this on her desk or whatever on July 19th. She's going to set a date that I can go, or they're going to ask for a date, and they're going to make a date. The court is going to make a date for me to hear this application for court-appointed counsel, and then I'm going to appear, and I'm going to get a court-appointed counsel, and I'm going to phone a lawyer. And so she was supposed to get back on the 19th of July. Okay, so on Friday, as a matter of fact, just last Friday, right? The one just like last Friday here, I phoned the court and I said, what's going on with my court? Because I thought, well, Michelle Corpin's going to be back there now. I'll phone them. And they said, you failed to appear on July 21st. And I said, what do you mean? I said, I didn't know I was supposed to appear in court on July 21st. And they said, no, you failed to appear on July 21st. I said, Michelle Corpin was on holidays until the 19th. I said, I expected to get some notification to go to court, but I mean, nobody told me. They never sent me any notification. They never told me. I have a probation officer. She never told me. And I talked to them. And they never told me that I was supposed to go to court until on Friday they said that I missed court on the 21st. And now they changed the prosecutor too, to Mitchell Miller. Okay? And now I'm supposed to be in court tomorrow morning. Well, now, so I have a fail to appear now again. Another fail to appear. Well, how do I remedy that? And why would I? Yeah, because why would I fail to appear at a hearing where I was going to get court-appointed counsel? That's stupid, right? Because I would want to be eager to appear at that hearing, wouldn't I? You know what I mean? I am eager to appear. Like I'd never I never fail to appear willingly. So, yeah, because the RCMP used the health department to detain me and to really create difficult circumstances in my life when I complained about them. And now the health department, I'm going to sue them. I don't care if I have to do it all by myself. But somebody's going to have to answering questions, right? Yes, it is. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where should I go? Well, they say Butts, they say Merchant, and they say Daniel Tapp. That's what it says for Regina. But I mean, what about Dan Englot? Do you know him? Yeah. Can they work in Saskatchewan? I think they can, eh? Alberta bar. So, yeah. So, have you ever heard of the police using the health department like that, mental health warrants for criminal, to do that kind of stuff? Yeah. Well, even the ombudsman said that sounds like Navalny, like the Russian guys. That's what he said. He said it's like Navalny. He said they're doing this to you because you're speaking out about the Complaints Commission, and that's a fact. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. So you don't know anybody local? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And you see, that's why they're doing all these criminal things to me, is because they keep it criminal and keep me pressured with the criminal charge, right? And then I can't fight the civil case. Pardon me? Exactly. Well, thank you so much for your candor. You know exactly how it is. But that's the problem, is we don't have anybody doing this, undermining. See, this is undermining the law society, what they do. That undermines the integrity of the law society and the police. That really undermines them. They don't realize what they're doing. That's the problem. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, no matter what, it works out, no matter what. Anyways, I'm going to tell you my name, though, so just so if you hear in the news, Dale Lakeman. Dale Lakeman. Yeah, did you hear that before? Dale? Yeah, I'm the Cop Watch guy on YouTube. I'm the Cop Watch guy. Yeah, they like to make me out to be really crazy, and it's kind of a dramatic thing, but it's all about free speech and about my rights, and that's the truth. Thank you so much. God bless you, man. I hope you all the best in your career. Thanks. Take care, man. Peace. See ya. Yeah, isn't that crazy? He knows. They all fucking know. They won't do anything about it.